I gotta figure out how to roll that in more seamlessly.
Oh, like fade out or something.
I mean, I don't know how it works,
Yeah,
honestly.
I haven't had time to mess with it the last 2 weeks.
We've got a big crowd already waiting on us to show up. We need to do a better job promoting up front, I think. It's like, oh yeah, we're gonna do a live tomorrow night, and then we I don't post anything about it and don't advertise it. So it's just me and you, man.
Yeah, I came home
We
and
can
took a
talk about whatever we want.
I came home and took a nap, so I was kind of out of it.
Yeah. Well, the last 2 weeks for me has been a rat race. I haven't got hardly anything done. You think that you're gonna be up at the hospital there, and there'll be downtime and there'll be rest time. But every time I started working on something, then a doctor, a nurse, somebody would come in, or I'd have to help my wife, out of bed and to the do whatever she needed to do, go for walks, post surgery walks and stuff to make sure she wasn't getting blood clots and all that kind of stuff. But I was getting a lot of updates from New Mexico about giant bears hitting the
Yeah,
dirt.
I
Holy
don't.
smoke. Did you see any of that?
I don't think I did.
They were antique bears, man. I'm telling you, those the jaws on those bears, no teeth, um, old, ancient boars.
I mean, that's good. I mean, that's what needs to be taken out.
What they did on the Paloma this year was, I mean, it was an epic year for bear hunting out there. I think I've not been out there a lot, but to kill, to treat, they caught several bears, and then they killed just the biggest ones. I mean, why are those bears moving? You've never been there. There's a lot of oak brush. There's a lot of food there, but the ranch is 40,000 acres, but that's not much ground really when you're talking about
That part of the country, yeah.
all the places that those bears can move into or in from, and what's drawing them in there to be there.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with it. I mean, is there pressure outside of the ranch?
Not on opening day. I mean,
Yeah.
I wouldn't think there was that much pressure, but I don't know. It was a cool deal as far as I could see. I wish I would have been there, but that's the way it goes, man. I'll be there next year. We're gonna hit it hard. I think by the end of September, then we'll be good to go. We should plan on going at this point.
Yeah, if we're gonna do it, we need to plan it pretty quick.
Yeah, yeah, because
Yeah,
she's
we didn't get to go this year, but or we haven't we haven't so far. But hopefully
we
we
need to. I mean, just put in. Tell everybody you're gonna be gone, and then if it falls through, then
Yeah, I mean, if I have a date, then I can. So I have to try to get all my work kind of caught up.
well, the season comes in 25th. That late season comes in the 25th of September. Comes in the same
Yeah,
time every year. So
yeah, it's possible. I just have to have a few weeks notice.
yeah, this is your notice. This is your notice.
Okay.
I'm going to be in the same spot we camped in on September 25th as of now.
Okay, I think I can find it.
Yeah, yeah.
I have to see if Tanner and Cody can put in and get off for work.
You got to get Cody out there again with the hippie sticks, and that guy's a hoot to have in camp.
Yeah, we he was ready. I mean, we understand it wasn't possible to be there opening this year, but it was fun.
Well, light a fire under him, man. Get him wound up, and
Cody messaged me. I don't remember if it was. I don't remember. I think it was this morning. They was on their way to work and stopped at a small town over here by us called Bayan. They was stopped at the gas station, and there was two pickup trucks, and he said they were loaded down with plot dogs and a few English dogs. And Cody got to talking to them, and they were from Florida, and they were headed out. I think Cody just said west. I'm not sure where, but they were going to bear and line hunt, and they told him they were going to be there the whole month of September. It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
how do people get that much time off from work?
Just don't go. I'll tell you what, when I was working in the Flathead Valley out there, those guys make it a part of their life. When elk season comes in, you can't find somebody to drive nails.
Yeah,
I mean, it's they drag up and it's like I'm going elk hunting. And
yeah,
a lot of my friends and stuff out there, I mean, they depend on that elk to get them through the winter, as far as filling the freezer, and
yeah,
it's important to them. But a lot of guys, it's just a different type mindset out there where it's like, sorry boss, I won't be here, and you know why, bye. And then
yeah. I
as
mean,
soon as they
I think it's important to set those kind of things up. That it's just like, no, this is where I'm going to be this time of year, and it doesn't matter what's going on. And because man, otherwise there's always an excuse not to go. There's always something going on,
oh yeah,
and the next thing you know, you're too old to go, and you missed it all.
right, right. Well, I know that um, I should be able to go. I mean, I'm 95% sure that I'll be headed that way around the 20th, and I plan on being there.
Do you think that area will still be good
Oh yeah.
for late season?
Mm-hmm. Yep. I think our spot right there is going to be. Um, I think it'll still be choice. Casey Stutzman's going to be down in that country too. He's going to be guiding for a guy down there local that's camped local. And Casey's from Montana. He's got a couple dogs from me that, and Casey's just a hardcore houndsman, man. That guy, he's, he, he'll drag up and leave for a month. No problem.
I think I know that name. I don't know him, but I think I recognize that name.
Yeah. Yeah. He's, he's such an interesting guy. Um, he, he can build a custom home. He's a welder. Um, he built his own home. You'll see the scribe work on the logs and stuff where they joined the logs.
Mm.
I mean, it's perfect. It's as close to perfection on stacking logs that I've ever seen. And he's good at that. He cuts timber. He works on fire. Fire break. He works on um, does the line studies all year long for Montana, or in the wintertime for Montana. It's a crucial part of that. He's just he's an interesting guy.
Yeah, yeah. Those kind of people are kind of going by the wayside.
Yeah, he lives in Marion, Montana. It was people remember when it got cold? Was it this past winter or was it the year before? Where I mean, like it went into a severe deep freeze. His thermometer outside his house was. He took a picture of it for me. It was -60 in Marion, Montana.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't. I don't think I could handle that.
It's different.
Oh, I've been in like I think probably the coldest I've ever been was probably negative, maybe pushing -20.
Yeah.
And when you breathe in, it feels like your lungs are freezing. Like it's painful. And if you
See,
have
it
to
doesn't
like
affect me like that.
no,
No, we pulled out of Swan Valley one year because it was getting cold like that. It's -22. I was putting stuff in the truck, and it was just without any humidity at that elevation and stuff. Of course, there isn't any humidity at -22 anywhere.
no.
Um, it's all frozen. But yeah, I was just throwing stuff in the truck, and I got in my truck and I looked at it. I started it, and it said -20, and I was like, "There's no way. It's not that cold out here." And all the way down Swan Valley back towards I was headed south. Can't remember that name of the town south of us. There we were in Condon. When I got there, the town south of us, the bank clock said -22, and I was like, "Holy crap! It's cold."
Yeah, it kills my lungs.
Yeah.
And oh my goodness, if you like exert yourself and like start breathing hard, it's like
Yeah.
breathing that cold air is going in your lungs, and it's painful. I mean, that happens around here when we're hunting, and it's 20 degrees.
It can definitely add to, I mean, it'll add to your risk of hypothermia for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine it's like most things though. Like probably the difference between -20 and -60 is probably really not that much.
I don't know, man. There's a big difference between 70 and 90.
Well, yeah, but there's not that big a difference between like 100 and 115. It's not as drastic as you get higher up the scale.
Yeah, it's just hot.
It's hot, but I mean, you know what I mean. It's hot, but it's not like the difference between 70 to 90.
The only place I ever hit 115, those high extreme temperatures, when I was deployed during Desert Storm. It got hot over there, and
I
then it
was
get.
in I was in Needles. Is it Needles, California, or is that still Arizona? I think it's California.
I don't know.
Yeah, it was. I think it might have been hotter than 115. Oh, it's been years ago I was there, but yeah, it it was hot.
Yep. Well, hey, we're getting some people in here now, so send in your questions, your comments, whatever. We're just kind of talking about fall plans and stuff. What was there something specific you wanted to talk about?
Not really. Don't really have anything to talk about. I think we were gonna touch on that National Dog Hunting Association that's kind of kick.
It's hard on you to say Houndsman Alliance, isn't it?
Oh, I don't know the actual name of it. Is that
Well,
what it
being
is?
being from the South, you're like dog hunter, dog man.
Is
Can't
that what
say
it?
houndsman.
What's the name of it?
National Houndsman Alliance is the name of it right now, and it's so new. I mean, the think tank, the steering committee hasn't even. We're having our first meeting on Thursday evening, and we're going to get some things rolling on it. We've got a lot of really positive comments, and it looks like we're going to have pretty good support on it. So hopefully we can make a go of it. It's going to take a lot of money. The sole purpose of this thing is to build a war chest. I mean, serious war chest, a legal defense fund that can. I I I think about it like this: if Colorado would have had access to United Houndsmen of Colorado, if they'd have had access to 100 grand last September, then that would have put them right in the thick of the fight. Um, Instead, what's had to happen is they've had to build an organization, bring it up out of the ashes, really, and revive that organization. And they've still done an amazing job. But our plan is to help organizations like that. And I don't know exactly what direction this is going to go. I'm just talking off of what I know so far. It's not to jump in. If Oklahoma decides that they're going to change the raccoon season, for coon hunters, that's not what this organization is for. We expect the Oklahoma Dog Hunters Association, the local organization. You guys know what's going on the ground. If you don't need us in the mix, we don't want to be muddying the waters for you. Too many times, a lot of these national organizations form, and then they try to control and ride herd, and a lot of times all they do is muck up the works because I don't know who to talk to in Oklahoma.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember the exact quote, but somebody said that the best government is local government. So you try to keep things as local as possible.
Yeah.
If you have a neighborhood watch, that's better than the state police driving through, you know,
Mm-hmm.
10 minutes every 2 days.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I get that, and that's kind of how ODHA is set up. Like we've had the last and you can't blame anybody. You know, probably the last 3 years, we haven't been super active.
I'm not sure why you're cutting out on me, Ed. You having a seizure?
I'm
I'm
cut
not
out.
sure.
I cut out.
Yeah, your video's cutting out. Your video's frozen up.
Oh, did the audio go?
Oh, there you're back. Yeah, it's kind of pixelated. You're good now.
Hmm.
Everything's good. But why have you guys been kind of inactive the last 3 years?
Because we haven't had any threats, you know.
Right.
But we kind of take the same approach that you were talking about. Like we just, I mean, it's not $100,000, but I mean, we just kind of have a war chest, you know. We have
Mm-hmm.
money sitting in a savings account, and it, you know, if Joe, you know, Blow joins, his money just goes straight into that account, and it just sits there till we do have something pop up that we need to throw money at.
Well, how do you think? How do you keep people involved though? I mean, because when you don't have a threat and you're not using it, I mean, isn't it easy for people to kind of be distracted and think, I haven't seen those guys do anything for a few years. I think I'll hold my money this year.
Oh yeah, I mean that definitely happens, you know. But I guarantee you, and we've seen it in the years past, like, and then some legislation pops up that could be dangerous,
Then you
and then
get memberships.
yeah, then my phone is blowing up. People going, "What can I do? What can I do? What can I do?" And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
and I get that. I mean, I'm the same way. I mean, I'm the vice president, and we don't really have any real threats, so I haven't been all that super active. We are planning, uh, and we used to do this a little bit more. We need to get back into it, but we never done anything like this. But so we're planning the spring of 2025 to do dog hunting expo.
Yeah.
Probably, I mean, we're talking. It's still in the planning stages. You know, probably have a coon hunt, a squirrel hunt, possibly a hog hunt. But just have a good venue and have a bunch of vendors out, and you know, have some people give some seminars and just. I mean, it's modeled after trapping convention,
Yep.
conventions, fishing conventions. But I think
Well, we
that kind of thing can keep people a little more active.
yeah. If you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards. And I saw that post that you were talking about that, and the Hoosier Tree Dog Alliance used to do the same thing, and we called them Hoosier Outdoor Expos, and we ramrodded the whole thing. But we had everybody there. We had people that were into black powder, traditional muzzle loading. We had trap shooters there. We had archery guys there. We had the the conservation officers were there doing tree stand safety and whatever, some sort of safety thing. We had trappers there. We had people demonstrating how to set traps. We even had the local boy scouts there that were doing campfire cooking and stuff like that. We wanted to create an environment where anybody that walked in the door that was looking for some way to get plugged into the outdoors could find it there. Find an organization, and of course houndsmen were there, but it showed if you just put on a coon hunt, then your impact is going to be pretty minimal. The only people that are going to come are the coon hunters and the people that are interested in hounds. But if you can get that person in that's wanting to learn about fishing, and then they stick around and they interact with houndsmen and they see a demonstration or whatever, then they start asking questions about that. And then they ask questions about the trapping. And, see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about doing that to a degree. We do want to keep it really dog centric because,
Mm-hmm.
well, I mean, I can go to a hunting expo, a few times a year, and most of that is there, but dog hunting isn't represented. You know,
Yep.
we're kind of unrepresented. So yeah, I mean, we've talked about that. We want to kind of open it up. We want to open it up. The dog hunting needs to be the main focus of it. I mean, it's an outreach possibility, you know. But like I said,
Yeah.
if ODHA could go set up at a hunting expo and, in a sense, do the same thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
we're just so. I mean, dog hunting is so underrepresented. Like, I can go to Walmart and pick up, a handful of magazines about hunting, and there won't be mention of a hunting dog usually in any of those magazines. Maybe if I pick up five or six, if I caught it on a good month, there might be one small article about a guy who coon hunts. You know, we're just like out.
Did
We're
you
out of
did
it.
you did you pick up a copy of Peterson Hunting last year when they ran that Hound edition, the
Uh,
special Hound edition?
no.
Yeah, Peterson Hunting put together a full magazine, um, and that's huge for them to do it. That was dedicated to hunting with hounds. They covered everything from coon hunting with dogs to squirrel hunting with dogs to lion, bear. I even think they did a section in there on hog hunting, but it was hound centric. There weren't any, there weren't any horn porn pictures in there, and articles about how to outsmart the biggest buck in your township type stuff. It was totally hound centric, and I don't know if they ran it this year or not, but we actually I interviewed the guys that put that together. But so Peterson's Hunting is owned by OSG, which does Bow Hunter magazine, and they took a chance, they took a risk to dive into this because they had some guys. Joe Farinato was one of their lead editors on it, and he's a houndsman from Montana. So it was cool that they dipped their toes in, but I don't know what kind of impact it actually had. So I don't, you know how it is with those big groups. If they don't get a good return on investment, they're not going to do it again.
Yeah, I didn't even hear about it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. It's those publications are there to make money. You know.
they got to make money on every edition, or they
Yeah, I
can't.
mean,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, I put out a magazine. I lose money every edition. Been doing it for 12 years. I don't think I've ever made money. I know I have never made money.
I know. It's like producing a podcast. You never make
Yeah.
money.
Yeah. Well, this doesn't cost like $3,000 an episode.
Don't tell people that. This
Huh?
is don't tell people that.
Well, I mean, it's closer to like two. It's closer to $2,000.
It's $29.99.
Yeah.
Uh, but that I'll tell you one thing that really surprised me is there was a guy back east here. I'm not going to mention his name because I didn't get his permission to do that. But he was calling around trying to raise money in the east for what's going on in Colorado, and he was keeping me up to date on it. And he says, I can't believe how many people don't know what's going on or who to contact to help. And I'm just like, I don't even understand that. If Houndsman XP's done no less, I know that we've done 6, probably close to 10 podcasts about this, just dedicated to it, not to mention the other mentions. The other podcasts that are dropping have talked about it. I don't know why people aren't aware, especially people that are leaders of hound organizations, how they cannot be aware of what's going on and the threat. At least the basic knowledge. To say I've never heard of it, I don't understand that.
Well, not everybody listens to podcasts. I mean, I would say uh, for the national organization, an idea would be to put out like a small quarterly or even bi-yearly print magazine that kept people up to speed. Uh, on a national level, you could probably even, if you had the people who were good at selling ads, you could probably sell enough ads in it to break even on it.
Mm-hmm.
Where every member got in their mailbox. It doesn't have to be a book. It could be 25 page or not 25, but they got to be in fours, but 24 pages or 20 pages or 28 pages. Uh, it wouldn't cost that much, you know. And that kind of that the print world is dying, but it reaches a lot of it reaches a lot of the demographic of dog hunters because a lot of dog hunters are older. A ton of them aren't even on the internet, let alone listen to podcasts. So if you can put something in their mailbox that keeps everybody engaged and informed, that might be a good idea.
But that is a good idea. But just our podcast page has 10,000 followers on it. Old School Houndsman has 28 or 29,000 followers on it. I know the guy that started that page. I remember when it was. I was hunting with him in in Idaho, no, Montana, and he only had like 500 people in there at the time. And I thought, and it just took off. It blew up. It's the largest hound. It's got the largest hound following of any Facebook page or group out there.
What's it called?
And
I don't think I've ever heard of it.
Old School Houndsman. Yeah,
I don't
Old
think I've heard
School
of it.
Houndsman. Yep. Well, see, and you're pretty well wired. I mean, you're pretty wired into that stuff. The
Well, I
the
mean,
question is,
it's information overload. I mean, there's so much that
but how do you get through to people? People have I don't know. I'm at a total loss on how you get through to people when um, the people that are going to be involved a lot of times are anybody under anybody under 50 is probably posting on Facebook.
a lot. Not all of them. Maybe 80%.
Probably. I mean, that's a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Brett, Brett's got 10,000 people that follow his YouTube channel.
And I think that's what you could do, like for the National Association is kind of, you could put together like a list of the Brett Vaughns and the old school houndsmen, like you're talking about. You put together a list of people that can reach out, it like branches out like a tree.
Mm-hmm.
So when they've got a message, they throw it out on all their venues, but then they also shoot it personally to these bigger name people, and they're like, spread that to your people. Because you do kind of, on social media, you kind of get in your rut of, your people and stuff can be going on all around you, and you miss it. Like I said, because it's information overload.
I agree, and
There's there's so much.
I understand that because even me, it's like I get on social media, I post the things that I need to post for the podcast, and sometimes I don't even do that. Shane does a lot of that. I'll scroll through for about 3 to 4 minutes, and then I'm off there, and then the feed resets, so you don't see a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I mean that brings up a whole nother thing, like Facebook, what they even
Allow us to see.
give you the opportunity to see. That's why I
Yeah.
think, it might be best to go old school. I mean, you do that too, but you also do some old school stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know a guy that's got a magazine, knows how to put one together.
Yeah, it ain't that hard.
Thanks for volunteering.
I didn't volunteer. I told you earlier, like, and if there's something that I can do that will actually help, I mean, I'll do that. But I can't make a big commit. Like I'm one of the, I always, if somebody asked me to do something, I used to always just say yeah, and I get stretched so thin that I can't do any of it, fair justice. So I kind of try to, before I say yes, I try to think some now. But I will help if there's something that
Yeah, for sure.
I can do that someone else maybe couldn't or whatever, didn't want to.
Yeah, I was good. I'm glad to see I'm glad to see people are chiming in here. So John Hall says that I want to show this because Mark Booth was down there at that Florida State Dog Hunters Association meeting. They had about 1,000 people attend.
That is really good.
Yeah, yeah.
That's phenomenally good. Like we've we've had ODHA meetings where 15 people show up.
Have you ever seen pictures of that Florida State uh, organization's convention though?
Uh-uh.
I mean, they do it like a big expo. Mark Booth goes down, sets up a booth. It's like it's a big building. It's a big venue. A lot of people come through there.
Yeah. And that's the thing that so the national, dog hunting association thing has been tried before. And I'm not poo-pooing it, you know. I bring that up to say just to kind of emphasize how hard it is. Uh, it's been tried before. I was part of what was it? Was it Southern Hunting Dog Alliance?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, that was more geared towards the Southerners, but it was the same principle. One thing that they did, which didn't really end up panning out, but I would suggest it to this new one, is like strong outreach and avenues of communication with the local dog hunting associations. Uh, if it was set up almost where, they kind of, it's a pyramid. They would be at the top, they would be in contact with all of us, but not going past us to like our people. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was talking to the guys in Virginia. Kirby Birch heads up the Virginia Hunting Dog Alliance out there,
Yeah,
and
he's the one who spearheaded the Southern Hunting Dog.
I was talking to him this past week, and they've got a representative. They've got 100 counties in Virginia, and they've got a Virginia Hunting Dog Alliance rep in each one of those counties, so that information can pass back and forth fluid.
They have a good setup there. I haven't talked to Kirby in a number of years, but at least in the past, I know that they had a good model set up. They had a ton of money. They had a ton of money. Part of it is kind of they're in a more money centric part of the country than I am. But so what they did was we don't really have hunting clubs here. We have
Mm-hmm.
coon hunting clubs, but
It's not the same as a hunting
it's
club in the southeast.
yeah, it's not the same thing.
Nope.
But so all those hunting clubs would kick in, and I don't remember the exact dollar amount, and I'm sure it fluctuated depending on how many people were in it or whatever. But let's say XYZ hunting club had 60 members. They would kick like $1,000 to Virginia dog hunting. Is it Alliance? I don't remember, but they would kick like $1,000. The club would to the state organization, and then all the members of the hunting club were members of the dog hunting association, and they had a bunch of hunting clubs in that area. So they had a really good war chest, and they had a really good infrastructure set up.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And
Yep.
Kirby was trying to duplicate that across all the southern states, which is a good idea. It's just so hard to do. You really, to me, I think you really have to, and that's where the overhead comes in. I think you really have to have enough money to where you can actually hire, at least one, possibly two people to actually run things.
Yeah.
Because you get a guy who works 40, 50 hours a week, and he's doing this hunting dogs, legal stuff on the side for free. And man, I mean, we've all just got. I mean, we've only got so much energy. We've only got so much time. But I think if you set it up to where people, it was actually their job. You know.
Mm-hmm. Oh, the only downfall to that, the only thing that could be a pitfall for something like that is that when you hire people to do something, then there's an expectation that they're going to do everything, and um, it needs to have somebody that can delegate and inspire and show people the advantages of them being involved. Because any successful organization, the there has to be ownership in it. Every person that belongs to it needs to have that pride that they're a part of something. You know, there's an old Lao Tzu quote that says, "When the work is all done and the leader walks among the people, he hears them say, 'We did it ourselves.'" It's a leadership concept. That's good leadership. When the people think that they've done it themselves, then you're on to something.
Yeah, but I mean, look at it. I mean, I agree with that. But how many paid employees do you think PETA has?
Tons. I'm not saying we don't need them. I'm just saying there's a pitfall with
They
having them.
they probably have thousands, and yet they still have tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, of people that volunteer underneath
Mm-hmm.
them. Until we can, we're not ever going to match those numbers, but until we can like come close or at least attempt to match that, we can't. There's it's impossible for us to beat them.
Right.
You get, they get, you know, old grandmas sending them $30 a month,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, just to feel good, and we can't get a dog hunter send $20 one time a year. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, but then you got to start asking yourself, like, who's more passionate about this? Like, literally, the opponents to what we do are more passionate about it than we are. How can you fight that till you match it? We've got to start matching it in a big way, because we are way behind the curve. Way behind the curve. We're
Well,
fighting from
I
the rear.
I would even take it further than that. That not only do we need to be passionate about it, but we've also we're not going to be able to stand on our own. So we have to be able to uh, show what value we bring to the table for other organizations out there, where somebody's grandma that her grandson's a coon hunter and it means a lot to him, where she is appealed to, where she becomes more mainstream. I still think about that Will Markworth quote is one of the best quotes I've ever heard about what we're dealing with. And that quote was, we're not fighting against something as much as we are fighting for the hearts and minds of those who don't oppose us but may vote against us.
Yeah.
I mean, that if you break that down and you think about the gravity of that, he was exactly right. The 85% of Americans sitting out there that don't hunt, that they don't do anything, that's the battleground. But it's only going to work if we can get everybody on our side working for that 85%.
Well, yeah. I mean, you go to any medium to large size town. Like, I can jump in my car, and in 45 minutes I can be in a town, and I could show you videos of PETA billboards. Till we can have billboards, till we can have TV commercials, I don't think we can compete against it. We can't scrape up enough money to do hardly anything, let alone have TV commercials.
We need to hire Ed Barnes to go on TV at 1 o'clock in the morning and sit there and say, "You see these poor little hog dogs? They need your support."
Yeah, yeah, that's a good angle. We could totally mimic PETA and be like, these poor hog dogs are starving to death at the end of this chain. Send $20 so this hog owner can feed these poor dogs.
And they're sitting there fat as butterballs. And it's like, oh, it's terrible.
Yeah, I mean
Uh,
they just have, they've got the emotional upper hand, and modern people live most of their lives on emotion, and they've tapped into that, and they've found the psychology to make money. That's where we have the advantage. To them, it literally is just about making money.
mm-hmm.
Leadership at PETA does not give two shits about a dog's life. It They are the 1980s televangelist of the dog world. You
Yeah,
know,
the animal world
they
for
are
sure.
just they are just after the dollars, but they have gotten very good at getting them.
Yep, yep, 100%. I want to touch on a couple things here. Um, Andy Williams says need to have a lawyer on the payroll also. I think that's I think you're on the right track there, Andy. We've got Justin or Austin Tomlin from Virginia. He wrote the book Deer Hunting with Hounds: A Southern Tradition. He is an attorney, and he's going to be sitting in on the meeting. Uh, but there's some problems with that as well. Um, Lawyers are extremely expensive, and his ability to do things nationally, he's not licensed to do that, for one thing. What he will be able to bring to the table is some oversight to say, you might want to have the attorneys look at this. So there will be some attorneys that I believe that there will be some attorneys that will be hired. But I mean, Sportsman's Alliance already has attorneys right now on staff, and they're looking for opportunities to file suit. Todd Atkins, I mean, he's just said it. We're just not gonna take it anymore. We're gonna start suing them back. They're suing um the CDC right now over this dog import thing. If that's not freaking everybody out, you're you can come into the country as an illegal alien and not even have to show any proof of health records or anything, but they're going to hold up a dog import from outside the country. So Sportsman's Alliance is like, nope, we're going to file suit. They filed notice of intent, sent them a letter, said if you don't change this, then we're going to file suit, and they didn't, so they filed suit. They're involved in the Great Lakes stuff. They have the legal expertise. Todd Atkins has ran campaigns for the NRA before he came to the Sportsman's Alliance. So I say all that to say this: good friends are good to have, and I've built that relationship with them for a number of years, and I've even talked to him since we started organizing this deal, just as a courtesy call. And I've already been told, if you need us, we're here. That's what we're here for. So
Yeah, and I think
what?
a lot of that, some of that, not a lot, some of that can be kicked down to the states, and I think that's where that communication comes in. I'm not a big fan of the federal government.
Me neither.
so, so, I come at like a federal dog hunting association with a bit of a chip on my shoulder, a little bit of states' rights kind of deal. Uh, but yeah, I mean, like in Oklahoma, huge shout out to Daniel McClure. Uh, he's an attorney, totally just works for free for us. But it brings up a point. I mean, so he works for us. Usually, when we go get him, it's in a defensive manner. We're defending against something where, and that's kind of, I think, one of the things that we have to change a little bit. PETA's not in a defensive mode. They're in an offensive mode, and we're in a defensive mode.
Always.
We have to get the resources and the infrastructure set up so that we can go on an offensive the same way that they do.
Well, I think you're seeing an offense. You're seeing offense in Colorado. If you pay attention, if you read what's going on there, I mean, there's a strong offensive game going on there, and
Well, but I mean, but in the big picture, it's defensive. I mean,
100%.
they're
Everybody's
fighting.
reactive. You said it. When there's an
Yes.
issue, then your phone rings off the hook and people want to pay their dues. When there's not an issue, then it's like, well, I hope Ed's keeping this thing going.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like, instead of, and I'm guilty of it. Like I said, Oklahoma, we haven't really had any real threats, so we just kind of lean back. And part of it's because we're stretched so thin. Uh, but if we, and by we, like the whole United States, if we could we should be using those times where we're not being attacked to attack them, you know, instead of reacting to their negative legislation all the time, we push it in a forward position and try to gain ground instead of always just trying to hold our ground. Because that's really all we're doing. We're just trying to hold on to what we got. So we wait till they attack and then we fight to try to keep what we got. We need to try to gain some ground, get some more rights.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the time for that kind of thinking is over. There is no more time. The United States Marine Corps, when they're in a war on, doesn't sit back and say, well, we're not going to train. Yeah. They stay prepared. They stay ready. They get their talking points down. They're communicating. They're visiting legislators. They're building relationships. And you talked about states' rights. I couldn't agree more. Say something blew up in Oklahoma. What I think is the only effective way to handle that is for a call to go to a national organization and say, hey, we got this coming down the pipe. And then you start getting your ducks in a row, and the response from the nationalists should be, what do you need from us?
Yeah. Not we're going to step over your back and take your place.
Right. Right.
But you guys know this better than we do. How can we provide
which dogs bark and which dogs bite?
Yeah.
And for me to think that, or anybody from a national organization that thinks they can come in and automatically know that is just fooling themselves. You've got to have people on the ground.
Yeah, I mean, otherwise, you don't need state organizations.
No.
If a national organization is going to come in and take every issue and handle it, then it kind of puts. But the thing is, they couldn't. I mean, unless the national organization was huge, they couldn't deal with the smaller issues going on in Texas or Florida, like a state organization in Texas or Florida could deal with the day-to-day kind of smaller issues.
No, John Hall's commented a couple times here about a bear meeting and their Florida convention they had, their meeting. John knows if he's in leadership down there, I'm assuming that he knows who the main players are. And he sure doesn't need somebody from out of state coming in there thinking they're going to solve all their problems for him and step over them and end up mucking up the works. That'd be dumb. Yeah. That's a lose-lose there.
No, but yeah, someone from a national organization that had more resources than Florida had could go to, someone at the Florida Hunting Alliance or whatever they call it, and say, what do you guys need? Like, what can we do to help?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean,
and then it's time that we bring all these forces to bear. John, I'd like to know more about the Florida Dog Hunters Association, because that's somebody that the national would need to get to know real well. So comment if I don't know if you're an officer or whatever, John, but if you're an officer, then hit me up on a private message or something and send me your number. I'd like to talk to you. But you got to what I was getting ready to say is it's time for us to bring all the forces to bear. Anybody sitting in Virginia should care about what's happening to lion hunting in Colorado, and somebody in Nevada ought to care about what's happening to hog hunters in Florida or deer hunters.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about the rest of the country, but I know in Oklahoma that what we do is we watch Arkansas. So I guess, you know, the people in power in Oklahoma are just uncreative. But it seems like all they ever do is look at Arkansas, see what they're doing, and then the following year they try to do the same thing in Oklahoma that they just did in Arkansas. And I would imagine there's probably similar instances of that across the other states. So yeah, John, if you're part of that, yeah, let us know. Let Chris know. Yeah, Brock, that's what we were talking about. You know, but, I mean, they've got the better model. You know, they, like I said, we need to match. Dog hunters need to match their enthusiasm. They have us outnumbered. Uh, they've got a bigger pool of people that are their supporters. But there's enough of us that if we all kicked in and matched their enthusiasm, we could definitely make a difference. I don't know if we got Chris back. Can you hear us, Chris? I swear, these computers are terrible things. Yeah, I mean the
I've
national.
lost my audio, just so you know.
Oh, I can. I think we can hear you now. Can you hear me? Are you there? Can you hear me, Chris?
Ed, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Yeah, I've lost audio on your end, buddy.
On my end, it's probably on your end because you just
I
left.
thought you were sending me a text. Mark Booth is sending me text. I'm not sure why I lost audio on your end. You can hear me, but I can't hear you.
Well, let me try to.
I don't know. Technical stuff makes me mad. Thanks, John.
How about
Hey,
now?
if you find me on Facebook, John, and then well, John can hear Ed and John can hear me, but Ed and I can't hear each other.
I can hear you. Can you hear me? It's got to be on your end. If they're hearing me, I can hear you.
I'm gonna go out of the studio and come back in.
God, this stuff's terrible. Yeah, Chris, I totally agree. That's why I say we need billboards, uh, TV commercials. Granted, they'd probably be at 3 o'clock in the morning, but we could reach all the people who can't sleep. Okay, let's see if we got him.
Still no go, amigo.
I can hear you. You can't hear me.
Thanks, John. Me and Ed will sit here and try to read each other's lips.
You can't hear me?
Can't hear you.
God, it's always something. Well, we probably covered it. I ain't fast enough to type you everything that I say. Well, I think we're gonna end it there, everybody. We don't need more of this shit. We'll be back here next Tuesday.